Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which what if Naruto and Kushina living alone Sith Sart Wars Part 1 Naruto X. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Uzumaki Kushina was walking along the streets of the town within Fang country to her house when she sensed someone was watching her. Instincts filled with years of shinobi training from the past silently warned the redhead woman someone of the not-so-friendly nature was headed her way. Picking up the pace, Kushina drew the secret kunai from her sleeve, and readied herself for a fight knowing things were going to get ugly real soon. She also wondered who it was that had discovered her location, and how they had done it. Kushina trained of course, in private untouched places of the country wilderness, but always made sure not to make her chakra signature go too high that other shinobi could sense it, and investigate the matter. Come on out, I know you're there, said Kushina when she made it to the abandoned section of town that was under renovation. Impressive. You sensed us. The master told us to be cautious of you in the event your skills as a shinobi had not dwindled, said a hooded figure wearing a strange metal mask and strange flexible-looking armor. Who are you? What do you want? Said Kushina knowing a simple kunai wouldn't help her in this fight. Me. Nothing. My master has sent us to retrieve you. He considers the matter between the two of you to be of a personal nature. One he wishes to surprise you with himself, said the figure, as several more came out of the shadows looking nearly identical to him, and several of the others wearing different armor with strange weapons in their hands. Everything is considered a personal nature these days. I'm afraid I'll have to decline your master's oh so welcoming invitation to his domain, said Kushina while hearing several of the robes freaks around her laugh like she just told a joke. You speak as if you have a choice. You do not, said the robed figure, and with a single outstretched hand of a gesture the kunai in Kushina's possession became his own. What? How did you do that? Said Kushina while seeing the man examine the weapon before breaking it easily in his hand. That is a question that will be answered on another day and in front of our master. Seize her, said the robed leader of the group with the others moving in. I'll show you what happens when you fight in Uzumaki, said Kushina, as she got into her taijutsu stance, and struck out against her closest foe. The robed figure blocked her strike, then the combo Kushina unleashed following it, and ducked under a spin kick that she was hoping would take off the man's head. Kushina had sensed the other one behind her, as she leapt to her fight, and tried to fight the one robed figure farthest from her to prevent herself from being closed in. However, each figure had casually blocked her attacks like they could sense them, and also been trained to fight the same taijutsu form. At the same time, she knew of several instances where they could have easily disabled, and knocked the wind right out of her. They were clearly holding back, which she could tell was something they were not used to doing, as they came very close to hitting the redhead in the face multiple times, but stopped at the last second, and Kushina used that to get away. Now Sergeant, stun her, said one of the robed figures with Kushina turning to see the sergeant point his weapon at her and shot a strange blue beam of energy of some kind that disabled the woman's body upon impact. When Kushina hit the ground, the robed figures were instantly upon her, putting some facial mask on her face, and felt some kind of sedative-based gas coming out of it. As she drifted into unconsciousness, Kushina heard the roaring sound of something powerful overhead, and felt herself being carried closer to whatever the metallic thing above was. Konoha several days later. Is this accurate? Said Tsunade staring at Jiraiya seeing the Sani nod. Yeah, my spy in Fang country nearly pissed himself when he told me. Normally the guy never meets me in person. Always leaves discreet messages to prevent others from knowing he's one of my spies in the network. The man was pale white when we talked. I doubt he believed half of what was seen with his eyes, and I don't blame him since I did when he told me, said Jiraiya seeing the woman raise her eyebrow to indicate she was thinking the same way. A giant metallic ship, roaring engines that sounded demonic. Strange robed figures and armored figures abducted a red-haired woman before flying off in the direction to Wave Country. Aside from what he saw, this clearly has you spooked, and afraid for some reason. Why? Said Tsunade seeing Jiraiya run a hand through his hair. Because I think the woman they took, it was Uzumaki Kushina. Minato's wife, said Jiraiya while seeing Tsunade's eyes widen before jumping out of her chair. What did you just say? Said Tsunade while hoping to Kami he didn't just say what he just did. The woman fought her abductors in taijutsu, and when I asked how she fought, it was the same way Kushina did, said Jiraiya seeing Tsunade was getting worried now. But how? said Tsunade, knowing Kushina was missing and presumed dead after the Kyuubi's attack. I don't know. But I do know these guys are from Wave Country, and the way that place is thriving makes even the technology from Spring look weak by comparison. Up until now, the leader of this group was unknown, and still is from what I've been able to learn, said Jiraiya, knowing his toads would not go near the giant pyramid. We have to send a team to retrieve Kushina. If they plan to use her as breeding stock to produce soldiers, then they have to be stopped, and fast, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya nod, knowing he hadn't been focused on finding the woman after the Kyuubi's attack and even ignored her son for the first 12 years of his natural life. It won't be easy. Villages have tried to infiltrate the place. Iwa, Suna, even Orochimaru and the Akatsuki have failed in getting their people into that place before they could learn something, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade nod. True, but if the shinobi life were easy, then every fangirl and civilian could do it, said Tsunade, seeing him concede to her point. So, who is going on this mission? It has to be a select group capable of blending in. I'll go with them, so if things get hairy my toads can provide the necessary escape for them, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade appear hesitant. I will have them ready within the hour. Just be careful, Jiraiya, said Tsunade, seeing the man's grin appear on his face. Hey, it's me, said Jiraiya, leaping out of the window. That's what I'm afraid of, you perverted baka, said Tsunade before she reached for the necklace Kakashi had brought back, while stating Naruto was nowhere to be found. Wave Country days later. This place scares the hell out of me to no end, said Shikamaru, seeing the giant pyramid off in the distance. Get in line. Akamaru is whimpering like he just ate the last of my mom's favorite snack before realizing it was hers, said Kiba, seeing his dog look at him with eyes that pleaded with the Inuzuka to go back. My bugs do not like this place either. They say it's a place where dark things dwell, said Shino, as he didn't like this place, and neither did his bugs. We have our orders. If Uzumaki Kushina is here, then we have to get Minato-sensei's wife back, and stop any plans they may have for her, said Kakashi, as he saw the various ships and vehicles never before seen outside of Wave Country, and even the airships from Spring seemed like toys compared to the ones used here. Hinata, what do you see with your Byakugan? Said Tenten, as she knew Neji was out on another mission, and Hinata had been called in. So many different things. I can't even describe it. Wait, I see her. I see Kushina-san. She is in some kind of room that's all metal with a strange wall of energy designed to be the entrance and exit to the room, said Hinata, as she saw the woman was out like a light, and two guards were standing with strange weapons in their hands outside her room. She's in the prison section of the pyramid. Anything about her form to suggest they've done something to Kushina, said Kakashi, seeing Hinata shake her head no. No, she's unconscious, but physically unharmed from what my eyes can see of her body right now, said Hinata before looking towards what could only be the throne of the room and saw a man wearing black with a hood over his face while a dark yet powerful energy surrounded him as his eyes were closed in what seemed to be deep meditation. And then suddenly they opened with yellow eyes with a red tint around them, revealing themselves to Hinata, and the Hyuga girl quickly shut off the Byakugan while a shiver ran down her spine. Hinata, what is it? Said Jiraiya, seeing the woman tremble like a leaf. Nothing. It's just, I think I saw the leader within the pyramid and he knows we're here, said Hinata, seeing the group tense up a bit. That's true, then we have to be careful to not get caught, and do things right, said Yugao with another Anbu with her wearing a bear mask. Inside the Sith pyramid, we have company. Quite a few more than last time. Proceed as planned, said Malgus, motioning to the nearby Sith trooper, who nodded his head a fraction, and then contacted the others to go forward with the plan the Sith Lord had thought up. Back with the Leaf Rescue team sometime later. This shouldn't be so easy, said Shikamaru, as they had gotten farther into the complex than any other shinobi, and it was making the hairs in the back of his head stand on end. I agree. My insects refuse to leave my body. They say the deeper we go, the stronger the dark energies of this place become, and they fear it greatly, said Shino while Akamaru tried to stay silent. No kidding. My instincts are going crazy. Part of me wants to go rabid and the other wants to run away with my tail between my legs, said Kiba while questioning his sanity over the fact he was hearing whispers all around him. Stay calm, Kiba. There have been rumors of this place playing some kind of mind games on shinobi not strong enough to mentally withstand its mysterious power, said Kakashi, as he didn't want to believe such things were true, but a brief flash of Obito and Rin were making the man nervous. Minato-sensei trusted you with him, Kakashi. You failed the Yondaime and his son. Soon you will pay for your neglect and hypocrisy, said Rin in Kakashi's ear in a way that the man would have sworn on every Ika paradise he owned that the dead woman was behind him in order to speak those words. Playing head games indeed. You betrayed me, Jiraiya. I entrusted you and Tsunade to be responsible godparents for my son. And what do you do instead? You go off peeping for your research, and Tsunade runs off to drink herself stupid while gambling away money like it grew on trees. Some sensei you turned out to be. You're a joke. Maybe I should have asked Orochimaru to be Naruto's godfather. At least he would have trained the boy to become something great. Said the harsh voice of Namikaze Minato with the image of the man staring directly right at Jiraiya, but the Sannin shook his head, and rejected the agonizing pain that those harsh words delivered. Come on. We're almost to the key junction needed to get to Kushina, said Jiraiya while keeping the scowling face of his student out of his mind. Easier said than done. No sooner had they reached the junction, however, the group was instantly stopped when all the areas they could run were cut off, my metal doors slamming down, the sound of the alarms announcing intruders, and the whispered hissing of knockout gas being pumped into the room. The group tried to cover up, using their mouths and masks filters for those that had them for mandatory reason in the event they were needed should such a trap was used. However, the plan to hold off the effects of the gas failed, and within moments of hitting the ground the doors opened with Sith troopers moving it before firing stun blasts at each person to ensure they stayed down. Throw them all into individual detention cells on different floors and then inform Darth Malgus the intruders have been caught, said the Sith trooper with the rank of sergeant on his chest to a lower ranked grunt. It was almost time to start this little drama. Detention center. Ow, what the hell? Feels like I've got a headache the size of the Hokage monument, said Kiba, as he got up from strange metal bed attached to the wall, and saw himself in a square room with only one way out. And it was blocked off by a wall of energy. The feeling is the same for me too, said Shino, a similar cell across from him. Shino, where is everyone? Said Kiba, as he realized Akamaru wasn't here with him, and had strange cuffs on his wrists. In different cells like ours, I theorize. My bugs overheard one of them order us to be relocated on different floors. The fact we are here on this floor means the others are probably paired somewhat together on different sections of the prison area, said Shino while wishing his bugs would obey his commands to find a weakness to the room. But why like this? Said Kiba, wishing he could scratch his head right now. Most likely to make us talk to each other. I suspect there are recording devices listening in on our conversation to possibly use against us in our interrogations, said Shino while Kiba just shivered slightly while thinking of a certain female special Junin back home and the other one with the scars on his face. So what do you think will happen next? Said Kiba, seeing Shino raise an eyebrow at him. Why do you assume I know? Said Shino simply. Because you're the logical thinker between us and you're Shino. Said Kiba, seeing the Aburame shake his head while clearly not amused. It doesn't matter what I think will happen next, as it is obvious what will happen next, and it will not be pleasant, said Shino, seeing Kiba go pale for a second. Yeah, I imagine torture never is during an interrogation, said Kiba, hoping they weren't doing anything to Akamaru right now. No, it is not. Still, we now have a name to the leader of this place, and if we could find a way to get the name to the outside world would be a small victory for us, said Shino, as he just needed one of his insects to make the trip to Leaf, and into the hands of one of the Aburame clan members. What's his name? Said Kiba curiously. Darth Malgus, said Shino simply while the name made both of them shiver in fear for some reason. Nice name. Bet he gets a lot of ladies with that, said Kiba with a grin in hopes joking would make the situation less dismal. Now is not the time to make jokes, Kiba. No doubt they will inform him of it and he will not be pleased, said Shino, seeing Kiba whimper a little knowing that was most likely true. It can't get any worse, right? Said Kiba, seeing Shino again raise an eyebrow at him. The door down the hall opened and the sounds of footsteps were soon heard echoing around them while getting louder with each passing second. In front of each Leaf shinobi there were two robed, well-armored, and helmet-covered figures with others uniformed soldiers pointing weapons at them. Get up and follow us. You'll be meeting Darth Malgus in his throne room. He wants all of you at this special gathering, said the robed figure to Kiba's right. And if we refuse, said Kiba, trying to be defiant. If either of you refuse, then that dog of yours will die a slow and painful death with the two of you being witnesses, said the same robed figure, having been informed by the Sith Lord of the Inuzuka's ties to the animal. Don't fight them, Kiba, said Shino, knowing logically was not the best time to resist. I'm not. I just asked a simple question anyone else would ask in my position, said Kiba, walking with their assigned escort, taking them to the throne room of Darth Malgus. Keep your mouth shut on the way to see our master. You'll live longer, said one of the soldiers with the strange weapon in his hands. Interesting. That weapon looks like it can shoot something powerful from that end there. But what? Thought Shino, as he tried to make his insects leave to inspect the weapon, but a hand from a Sith Knight went to his shoulder, and squeezed it tightly. Don't bother. We know what you were thinking. Your insects won't obey you because we won't allow it, and neither will our master, said the Sith Knight while sensing the shock the Aburame was letting out. He's preventing my hive from responding with some kind of mental command when using his dark power. And he's just a subordinate to Darth Malgus. What kind of person could command such people to obey him? Thought Shino, as he found himself with Kiba in the elevator system that took the group directly to the throne room, whereupon the two heavy metal doors opened did they reveal the others had already arrived, and waiting for them. Ah, I see the group is all here. At last, said Malgus in a eerie voice that would have made Orochimaru's by comparison seem like an angel. We are not here to start trouble. We just wanted to bring Uzumaki Kushina with us back to Konoha. It's her home, said Shikamaru, knowing it was impossible to hide his thoughts from the man on the throne with that blue-skinned woman with two hanging tentacles on her head standing beside him. Her home. Strange that I found her living in Fang country and not in Konoha around the time my soldiers retrieved her. Why do you think that is? Said Malgus, seeing the group flinch under his gaze while Kushina barely hid hers. She was on a mission, said the Anbu with the bear mask, only to be hit with the butt of the blaster rifle from a Sith trooper to the side of his head, and it was clear lying was not tolerated in the Sith Lord's presence. Fool, your thoughts betray you. All of your minds do. I can see every thought, secret, and desire that burns within your mind. I know every joy, every tragedy, and humiliation you have endured up to this point in life. You can hide nothing from me, said Malgus while staring at them all and slowly rising from his throne. Tell them, my love. Tell them all why they are here. Especially these two, said Alina sensually while pointing at Kushina and Hinata, with both women shivering in fear. In due time, my love. Patience. I have waited so many years for this moment, regardless of the fact that I believed it would never happen, and it can wait a little while longer, said Malgus, caressing his lover's face. Anything so deformed as her should be killed, said the Anbu bear mask shinobi of the leaf. Only to find an invisible hand squeezing his neck and lifting him right off the ground. Deformed. Her. You know nothing of what she is, fool. Such a primitive mind from a backwater planet. To think I was born here on this mud ball with the rest of you. Said Malgus while sensing the confusion, shock, and fear that came off of them all from that statement. The way you speak about us, it's clear you've gone beyond the boundaries of this world onto something far greater, and resent this world on a deeper level, said Shikamaru, as he saw Malgus turn to him, and then release the invisible hold on the leaf Anbu with the man falling down to the metal floor. And breaking his right arm in two places upon impact. As smart as ever, Shikamaru. I see the lazy tendencies when we grew up didn't hamper your shinobi skills when it came to strategizing, said Malgus, seeing Shikamaru look at him now with surprise that they apparently knew each other at some point. You were a leaf shinobi? Said Kiba in shock. Yes, I was one of you. Granted, I look much different than I did back when you knew me, said Malgus, laughing slightly in amusement while they tried to remember him. What did you look like before now? Said Hinata, seeing Malgus direct his eyes at her. Oh, if you only knew who I was before now, and the reaction I would see because of it, said Malgus with a smile behind his breathing mask before turning to Kushina and just frowned at her. What do you want with me and the Hyuga girl? Certainly not a need to get your rocks off since you have her to do it for you and make children, said Kushina defiantly, but was backhanded by Malgus, and a bruise appeared on the woman's cheek. Speak disrespectfully about Alina again and I'll destroy you. Besides, even if I took the Hyuga girl to my bed, I'd sooner kill myself than commit incest with the likes of you, and create children in the process. Said Malgus, as he snarled at the woman in disgust, and saw the shock from the others at his words. Incest? You mean, the woman is related to you? Are you an Uzumaki too? Said Jiraiya, seeing Malgus laugh now, as he turned to face him, and walked towards the bound Sannin. I am, or rather I was an Uzumaki. I have long since left my old birth name behind for something greater, stronger, and more powerful, said Malgus, staring the Sannin right in the eyes. Darth Malgus, said Jiraiya with a raised eyebrow. Sounds kind of grimy to me, said Kakashi while waiting for the right moment to spring his Sharingan on the Sith Lord. only to be struck by force lightning with the power the attack behind it sent the Junin flying into Yugao with the woman feeling a fraction of electrical pain, but still cried out from the sudden shock, and the two whimpered in agony. Jiraiya and the others could only watch in utter horror at the pain the two Junin seemed to be in from that single attack. It looked like a lightning jutsu, but more cruel, and the color was different too, thought Jiraiya while seeing two Sith Knights separate the two from each other. I wouldn't expect any of you primitive people to understand, said Malgus, as he walked back to Kushina before removing his respirator mask and hood so they could see what his face looked like. You're not an Uzumaki. None of us would look like you do, said Kushina while she fought back the flinch from seeing Malgus's scarred face twist when he smirked. And I thought you shinobi could see underneath the underneath. See the truth behind the truth within the truth. You are shadow of your former self. When my men informed me of you being captured so easily, I was actually disappointed, and expected them to at least have one wounded among them. Then again, I did train them well, and they have served me well when in combat against my enemies, said Malgus with pride in his voice at the end and sensed his army embrace it. What are you talking about? Said Kushina seeing Malgus inch a little closer to hers. You really don't recognize me. At all, said Malgus seeing Kushina scowl at him. I think I would remember someone from my family, said Kushina seeing Malgus scowl at her before smiling a cruel smile. No, I imagine you wouldn't recognize me after so long. How long has it been since we were even in the same room together? It must have been 17 maybe 18 standard years ago if my memory is correct. Yes, you remember that far back, don't you? Said Malgus, as he saw Kushina's eyes widen, and so did Jiraiya's since they knew the significance of the day. It can't be. You aren't him, said Kushina hearing a dark chuckle come out of Malgus's throat. It's not hard to embrace disbelief when it comes to me when I just said I'm someone you would call family. Then again, how would you know if I was him when you haven't even been there during my time growing up, and seen me become this figure standing before you? I may be a Sith, but even I still have my honor, and would never abandon my child for being what you once were prior to my birth, said Malgus seeing Kushina was wide-eyed in fear at the realization of it all even though she didn't want to believe it was true. It can't be. There is only one person Kushina could call say she was related to by blood, but he's been missing for years. Thought Jiraiya while Malgus's smile became crueler before looking over at him. You see, Jiraiya knows it's true. Deep down, you know it is true too, and just need some proof to back it up, said Malgus, as he walked away from Kushina over to Jiraiya, and stood with his hands behind his back. How can we trust anything you say? If you can read our minds like you claim, then any of the so-called proof would be something only Kushina, or even Jiraiya would know that was extracted from inside their heads, said Kushina with Malgus looking at him with the smirk lessening slightly, but was still there, and the eyes only burned with greater rage. Perhaps, but that is where the lovely Hyuga woman comes into play, and I'm sure you all want to hear how I plan to prove I was an Uzumaki. More importantly, the proof that I am in fact, your son, and Jinchuriki of Kyubi formerly of the Leaf, said Malgus seeing everyone's eyes widen in shock and fear with Kushina tearing up at the sight of what her son had become. And Malgus loved every second of it. Naruto-kun, said Hinata, who looked upon her former crush in shock, and saw how life had outside of being a shinobi had treated him, and wondered why the Kyubi had yet to heal him. It can't be him. Naruto has blonde hair, blue eyes, and is more hyperactive than an 8-year-old on a sugar rush. This guy is the exact opposite, thought Yugao, as she saw a warrior of the battlefield, who walked with years of training and experience under his belt that Uzumaki Naruto never had. She speaks his name with affection. Only I may do that, and even then it is his Sith name that should be spoken in such a way. Thought Alina, as she drew one of her 2 blaster pistols from the hip holster, and pointed it at the woman to shoot a limb for speaking in such a way to the Sith Lord. Stop Alina. I need her alive and unharmed, said Malgus seeing the Twi'lek woman look at him for a moment and then at Hinata with a glare before holstering her weapon. She was going to hurt me. Not surprising I guess when you consider she is Naruto-kun's lover. This woman has everything I dreamed of having with him, thought Hinata sadly while seeing Malgus frown slightly and blushed in embarrassment at realizing he had picked up her thoughts on the matter. If you really are Naruto, then why hasn't the Kyubi healed you, and restored your body to its peak condition? Said Kakashi with Malgus frowning at him with a snarl on his face that twisted the scars on the side of it. You can thank my old teammate that was your former student Uchiha Sasuke for that minor problem, my so-called sensei. After I showed the fool a small amount of mercy by not killing him with the Rasengan, he tried to kill me a third time by trying to set me on fire, and burn me alive. The damage to my seal prevents my vulpine guest from working his power on my body to restore to its truest form, and I've had to survive without it ever since that day, said Malgus, who was actually proud of his achievement in knowing he could survive without the power of the fox, and still come out on top of things. And the scars on your face, said Jiraiya, knowing the wounds were more recent given how fresh they still looked. A battle that didn't go exactly as planned. One defeat out of many victories. Though I suppose given my opponent then, it's no real surprise her forces could hurt mine, and take victory from the jaws of defeat, said Malgus more to himself now. What do you wish of me then? Said Hinata while seeing her former crush once more look in her direction and then was soon looking up at him. Your skills as a healer. You were quite skilled, even when we were children, Hinata, and I'm sure the old bat eventually saw it too. You're what they call a medic nin, correct? Said Malgus seeing the girl nod slowly. I am, but you already knew that, said Hinata seeing the Sith Lord smirk and nod. True, but I wanted to confirm it all the same. I need your healing skills to fix my body to the point where the seal can be looked at and possibly fixed so the Kyuubi can repair the overall damage to my physical form, said Malgus, as he saw the woman look uncertain, and glance at the others for guidance. Don't do it. If he's this strong now, then his power might increase, and then the world is forever doomed, thought Kiba while Akamaru with a special shock collar on his neck just whimpered since the animal had long since tried to break free and failed with the device on it ensuring forced obedience. He could easily extract the information from Hinata and do it himself. He's giving her a choice, thought Shino while torn in his answer. Don't do it, girl, said the Anbu wearing the bear mask and was force choked by a nearby Sith knight before killing the shinobi after having heard enough from the man. I don't know if I should, said Hinata seeing Malgus smile at her in a more gentle fashion and even ran a gentle hand over the woman's face. Why not? Surely you can imagine how much pain I'm in. Do you know I can only take this mask off for a certain amount of time? That every day my lover suffers in knowing we cannot spend longer intimate hours together because of my condition. How you make me suffer by not helping heal my body, said Malgus hearing the girl moan slightly from his touch and sensing Alina didn't like it. I want to help you, but the others, and my loyalty to Konoha, they won't, said Hinata while loving his touch, even though she wasn't supposed to, and almost let out a whine when he took his hand away with a sad expression on his face before putting the mask back on. I'm sorry to hear that, Hinata. Prepare her team for execution and then send the bodies back to Konoha as a warning to them not to invade my home, said Malgus seeing his forces pick them up off the ground while they tried to struggle. Wait, stop, don't kill them, said Hinata, as she didn't want her friends and teammates to die for her mistakes. I have no choice. You refuse me and Konoha needs to know just how serious I am when it comes to uninvited guests, said Malgus walking up the steps to his throne. I'll heal you in exchange for them leaving here alive and letting them return to Konoha, said Hinata hoping the offer was tempting. Hinata, no. Don't do it. Think about your old sensei. Think of the village. Your family, said Tenten only to be punched hard in the stomach to shut her up. And afterwards, said Malgus knowing once Hinata healed him, the woman's life was up in the air, and possibly forfeit. I'll serve you. In any way you desire, said Hinata while bowing before him on the steps leading to his throne. And how can I trust you in staying in my service should I require it? Said Malgus with a raised eyebrow. I swear it on my clan's bloodline to be your humble servant and do whatever you wish to me. My life will be yours to command, said Hinata with the others behind her in shock at this news. You stupid Hyuga girl. Don't make such a commitment like that to him, said Kushina before being silenced by a glare from Malgus. Interesting. You would pledge your life to me. As my new servant. Do whatever it is I asked of you. All for letting them go, said Malgus with a hint of disbelief in his voice. I would, my master, said Hinata looking up at him with determination. Insolent wench, said Alina angrily pointing her blaster pistol at her, but it was yanked out of her hand by Darth Malgus using the Force, and the Sith Lord just shook his head in disapproval. That is enough, Alina, said Malgus with authority in his voice that told the Twi'lek woman to not do that again. Yes, my lord, said Alina knowing when to not push her luck with him. Stun them, put them on a transport, and dump their bodies in Konoha from an adequate height for them to fall. Take these two women to their assigned prison cells, said Malgus seeing his troops nod before doing as commanded. Why did you do that? said Alina, seeing Malgus sit back on his throne with those eyes of his burning with the intensity of the dark side of the Force. Why not? Did you not see their reaction to my words? Despite not looking like my old self, they knew I was that boy all those years ago, and when they report it to the village leader, it will bring them fear. All who feared, hated, shunned, and abused me will now learn of my return. My enemies would gather the full might of their strength against me in the belief they can win. Their so-called heroes will gather, their forces marshaled to strike out at us, and yet in the end they die bravely on the battlefield. I will give my enemies the honor they never gave me when I was growing up under their rule, said Malgus, letting out a chuckle while his lover stared at him with curiosity written all over her face. What honor is that? Said Alina, seeing him grin more behind his mask. Simple, Alina. I'm going to give them the honor of dying while trying their hardest to win. I want them to attack me everything they've got, so when I crush them, there will be no excuses within their minds before they die. Said Malgus, seeing Alina walk over to him again, taking the blaster pistol still in his hand from him, and holstering before sitting down on his lap. And then, said Alina, knowing there was more to the plan than just the fighting and the conquering of the planet. And then we rebuild from ashes of our enemies. The people will submit to my rule and my will. In return, I will spread technological wonders throughout the world, healing the old of their insignificant illnesses, educate the young in our ways, and bring about a new era of prosperity never before witnessed, said Malgus, seeing Alina smile at him. And begin the reign of the new Sith Emperor, said Alina, hearing Malgus chuckle at her choice of words. Indeed, Emperor Malgus does have a certain ring to it, said Malgus, seeing Alina lean closer to him. Long live Sith Emperor Malgus, said Alina before she pulled down the breathing mask and kissed him on the lips. In another section of the pyramid, in the prison section, Hyuga Hinata watched them with her eyes, and wished that was her on Naruto's lap. Maybe I still can. If I prove myself enough, maybe Naruto-kun will take an interest in me, and I can turn him away from this. I have to try, thought Hinata, as she had reached Naruto before when fighting in the Chunin exam preliminaries while fighting Neji, and knew she would have to try again some other way. As for Kushina, she was weeping now in her own cell, and the realization of how stupid it was to neglect Naruto after his birth had helped make him this way, and wished to take all those years back. She had heard the stories of Naruto doing things in Konoha, part of her wanted to go back, but then the weeks turned to months, and the months turned to years. With each passing year, Kushina wondered if Naruto would even love her if she ever came back into his life, and if it was even possible to answer the question of where she had been the whole time. What could she even say to him? Oh son, I left because of the demon sealed inside of you, and wanted to be free from the past by running away like a damn coward. Out of the question. No. Instead, she just stayed away from Konoha, off the radar enough for even Jiraiya's spy network to ignore her, and any kind of attention she may bring. And look how things turned out. My son has become evil. The only person he seems to love is that woman with those two things on her head for hair. Ha, it must be one of those Uzumaki and Namikaze traits for the male to fall in love with exotic women with head structures, thought Kushina, as she now focused her mind on Alina, and how the woman's grace was indeed sensual yet very athletic in the sense that the Twi'lek was no pushover. Deep within Malgus, the Kyuubi stirred again, sensing the cosmic energy that was the force swirling around its Sith Lord for a vessel, and the dark side burning within the man. This pleased Kyuubi greatly, as he wanted the rage of its vessel to swell, and then be unleashed upon the world soon. They both had scores to settle with this world, as it had grown decadent, filled with arrogant humans, who dared tame things beyond their control, and call it their own to command. Soon Uchiha Madara. Soon you will know the wrath of the Kyuubi and its Sith Lord for a vessel. Very soon, said Kyuubi, grinning at the vision Malgus was having through the force, and knew victory would soon be theirs. The Kyuubi no Kitsune had waited this long, in 3 generations of Jinchuriki, for this one chance at getting revenge against the Uchiha, and the overall world for their abuse of things. It could wait a little while longer. Tell me you are all joking. Tell me you didn't just say what I heard you say about your mission, said Tsunade in a dangerous tone while glaring at the injured leaf shinobi in the room. Tsunade had, along with the entire village, had been scared to no end, as they had heard the roaring of engines from the sky, as a ship had hovered above the Hokage Tower, and then proceeded to dump almost every shinobi sent into Wave Country before flying off again. They all survived the fall, but were badly injured because of it, and had finally reported how their mission ended in utter failure in retrieving Kushina. Even more at the loss of an Anbu-level shinobi and Hyuga Hinata to the dark ruler responsible for the takeover of Wave Country. Then, when Jiraiya was told just who the leader was, and that it was Naruto of all people, well, she was a second away from smashing the Toad Sannin into tiny pieces. However, the others had reported the same thing Jiraiya had witnessed, even going so far as to describe Naruto's current facial features, and the reason behind Hinata becoming his prisoner. While no one knew the extent of Kushina's fate while in the dark pyramid-like structure, they all knew it wouldn't be pleasant, and that Naruto was not so forgiving like he was as a child. I wish we were all lying, Tsunade. Hell, I wish this was just a bad nightmare, and could wake up from it. Sadly, it's not the case, and Naruto is now our enemy, said Jiraiya, as he wasn't going to call his student's son by the Sith name Darth Malgus, and certainly not in front of Tsunade. This is becoming bad and fast. Hiashi is going to hit the roof when he learns his eldest is now in enemy hands. Not only that, but the councils have been itching for a reason for us to go to war against the people of Wave for their technological wonders, and now they're going to get it, said Tsunade, as she had countless meetings about Wave Country, and how the councils wanted shinobi teams to infiltrate the country to retrieve things from the area to study in order to advance themselves. And bring about death to us all. Naruto let us go on whim, knowing you'd tell them, and they would tell everyone else. It's going to cause a massive panic, said Jiraiya, knowing they should have died in that dark place, but the young Uzumaki for a Sith Lord had once again surprised them by letting the group live, and sent them to the leaf roughed up. Perhaps an alliance with the other villages could help us fight him. The temptation of the wonders Naruto's pyramid possesses could entice them to work together, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya shake his head no. And what's to stop them from breaking the alliance should Naruto persuade them to just switch sides in exchange for a small sample of those wonders? The kid knows just how to undermine us and any allies we might gain to fight him should we have any at all. Spring Country isn't exactly happy with us for still keeping Naruto in the bingo book as an S-class missing nin, with the bounty being so high every greedy bastard has tried to find the Gaki, said Jiraiya, seeing the woman slump in her chair. I didn't want to do it, but the fact Naruto is the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was what made the bounty so high in the first place, and there was nothing I could do, said Tsunade, seeing the man shake his head, knowing that was sadly the case. What we going to do? If we send anyone from Konoha to Wave Country and we are going to have them return in body bags, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade look at him with eyes that showed she clearly didn't know. We go on the defensive until we can figure out how to strike back against him, said Tsunade, knowing this wasn't going to end well for anyone involved. Assuming there is a defense against him and his forces, said Jiraiya before leaving with the others. Sith Temple Medical Wing 2 weeks later. I still don't trust her, said Alina, as she stood with Malgus, who was currently from the waist up, and saw the Sith Lord smile behind his mask. You don't trust any female in my presence for a minute, my love, said Malgus, seeing the blue-skinned woman look away with a blush tinting her cheeks. And for good reason, said Alina while getting a chuckle from Malgus. Over the past couple of weeks, Hinata had been under the supervision of medical droids doing various tests on recreating the healing cream she made for the Hokage during her apprenticeship to the Slug Princess, and taken a great deal of time to make the required amount. To ensure it was the real deal, Alina had volunteered to be a test subject, as she would put herself in harm's way to protect Malgus, and to further prove her love for the Sith Lord. Malgus agreed before ordering the sample made be tested on the scar along Alina's throat so he could see the wound there heal with his own eyes. When the scar vanished, Alina was glad to have such a painful physical reminder of the past removed, but also displeased at Hinata being praised for making the cream, and looking forward to her using it on his own scarred body. Of course you do. Still, the Hyuga woman has the skills I need to heal my body to the point where my demonic tenant's power can do it for her, and that is what I require at the moment, said Malgus before the door opened with Hinata stepping into the room with several Sith Knights and medic droids. I'm ready to begin, my lord, said Hinata, as she had been told in advance by Alina to never call the Sith Lord by his old name in front of anyone, and she would be punished if the order was disobeyed. Good. Leave us, said Malgus to his Sith Knights before they left the room. You don't want them to stay. What if she tries to kill you? Said Alina while Hinata kept her face calm despite the hurtful implication. Hinata won't do that. I can feel it. She's curious to see what I will look like fully healed once this is over, said Malgus, seeing Alina was skeptical about that. If that is your will, then I won't oppose it, and keep a close on her, said Alina while she glared at Hinata. Good. You may proceed with the treatment, Hyuga Hinata, said Malgus, as he saw the woman nod before taking several more steps towards him, the droids doing the same, and quickly began examining the Sith Lord's scarred torso. There is so much damage. How has he not screamed out in pain up until now? Thought Hinata, as she revealed the jar of medical cream the Hyuga woman always had on hand, and opened it to use some on the damaged torso. Running her hand over the scarred Sith Lord's body, Hinata saw the cream heal Malgus in that region, and carefully use her chakra to make the seal on his body appear. Using her eyes next, Hinata saw how the seal had been damaged, and what parts of his damaged flesh needed to be healed before anything Malgus wanted to do next could continue. The droid near her took the jar of cream before taking a sample to be analyzed in order for the ingredients behind its creation to be discovered and then duplicated for the future. As for Alina, the Twi'lek woman glare intensified when Hinata ran her hands further over the damaged torso with more of the cream in her hands, and saw the Sith Lord had his eyes closed with a sense of peace on his face. Alina didn't want this woman to be in Malgus's life any more than need be and would have shot the Hyuga woman if not for the Sith Lord's whim. The area where your seal is located has been healed, my lord. It is done, said Hinata, as she removed her hands, and took several steps back while the medical droids examined the Sith Lord's body to ensure no complications had arisen. Yes, I feel it. Did you acquire the sealing ink and paint brush I asked for? Said Malgus, as he saw Alina nod, and bring them out for him to take. Will this work, my lord? I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but, you have never used seals like this before, said Alina while Malgus prepared himself to use the Force to guide his actions. I have taken the understanding of seals from Jiraiya of the Sanin's mind, added with my mother's own understanding of seals, which far surpasses the Sanin's own, and using the Force will enable me to do this correctly, said Malgus before dipping the brush in ink and then began use the Force to make sure this went according to plan. As he did this, Hinata watched carefully knowing this was an important moment for the Sith Lord, and waited patiently for him to finish. When Malgus did finish, he handed the ink and the brush to Alina before channeling his chakra into one of his hand onto the restored part of the seal. Malgus didn't use chakra since he was a child of a different name, in a different life, but it was something you never forgot, even after all these years, and felt the seal surge with power at being reactivated with the addition to the old seal made by the Sith Lord's biological father. And in doing so found Malgus inside his mind facing the infamous Kyuubi. The last time Malgus had been in his mindscape, it had been a dark, dank, and smelly sewer system you wouldn't be caught dead in for even a second. Now it had undergone a revolutionary technological redesign similar to the Sith Temple, as it had sliding doors, elevator system for accessing his memories, and special defense systems to keep others like Shinobi from the Yamanaka clan or Uchiha clan out. Welcome, my jailer. It's been some time, hasn't it? Said Kyuubi, grinning at seeing his vessel again face to face after so many years. Indeed it has, furball, said Malgus walking towards the seal and stopped seconds before the fox lashed out with its claws, missing the Sith Lord by less than an inch. Your mastery of the Force serves you well. As I knew it would, said Kyuubi, seeing the Sith Lord look at him with expressionless face. You know why I am here, said Malgus, as he wasn't going to dance around this matter, and get right to the point. Of course. Just because we haven't communicated, doesn't mean I was unaware of your progress in life, and I must confess I am quite impressed at how well you have done without me influencing it, said Kyuubi, seeing Malgus nod. If you are strong you live. If you are weak then you die, said Malgus with an intensity centered around that belief. Agreed. Hence why I am going to make you stronger by healing your body. You have proved yourself worthy of it, said Kyuubi, seeing Malgus smirk at him. Proceed, said Malgus, seeing the fox grin at him. This will not be pleasant, said Kyuubi, seeing the man scoff. Almost everything in my life has been unpleasant, said Malgus, seeing Kyuubi nod in agreement. One of the many things we have in common. Brace yourself, said Kyuubi before flooding the Sith Lord's body with demonic chakra and saw Malgus struggling to hold back the scream that wanted to come out of his mouth. It felt like Aldrianan fighting the force push that Satel Shan had unleashed on him, with the difference being this felt like a wall of fire. Finally, the Sith Lord couldn't hold back his screams, as he felt the injuries and scars of his flesh healing. The blonde hair that had long been absent for roughly half a standard decade could be felt growing like a plant, but was burning like his head was on fire again, like it was when Uchiha Sasuke had set him on fire, and hurt more than anything he could ever dream of. Outside of the seal, Alina, and Hinata looked on with worry at seeing Malgus become consumed in demonic chakra while the Sith Lord screamed out in pain. The medical droids backed away, unsure how to handle this new phenomenon, and everyone in the room watched Malgus's body become something godly, if the droids could understand that term before their eyes. Pale scarred skin was now tan with traces of scarring to show he was no stranger to battle. The man's face was scar-free, if you didn't count the whisker marks on each cheek, and the once bald head had filled with spiky blonde hair that had a wild look to it. When it was over, Malgus fell to his knees, breathing heavily with eyes wide open, and carefully rose from the ground to test his newly restored body. Alina was instantly at his side, feeling flesh that felt was warm, and alive over the usual cold scarred body she had laid down within their bed when making love. She didn't care if his body was scarred or not. Alina loved him no matter what he looked like and stood by that even now. Still, the Twi'lek woman couldn't deny the incredible sensation of feeling his body in this state, and she shuddered in pleasure at what awaited her when they made love again. Hinata was also at his side, her eyes now activated to their fullest potential, as she had to check to see if the man that was once her crush had his body fully healed with Kyuubi's chakra, and saw it was in fact healthy again. Bones were stronger than before, muscle mass had an increase in key parts of Malgus's body to allow additional strength, and even flexibility that the Sith Lord had denied himself on account of his injuries plus the heavy armor that limited it from the start. "My lord, are you all right?" said Alina, as she touched his hair, and felt a sense of pleasure running through her fingers at the sensation. "Yes, I feel better. Better than I have in ages. Thank you Hyuga Hinata. Through your help, I have achieved in becoming stronger than ever before," said Malgus, as he turned to Hinata, who blushed at his praise, and quickly bowed to keep it from him. "I am honored my lord. May you and Alina enjoy this newfound health together," said Hinata, as to make the Twi'lek know he was hers, and would not interfere in their life as lovers. "Don't be so humble my dear. You shall enjoy it too, if you wish it," said Malgus, as he made the woman stand up fully, and see the shock on her face while sensing Alina felt the same way despite knowing this was always a possibility. Me. Be but Alina as your lover. I don't want to impose," said Hinata, as she looked to Alina for help in the belief the blue-skinned woman would try to persuade Malgus from this, but surprisingly the Twi'lek looked like she had made peace with the matter knowing it was what the Sith Lord wanted, and had no right to protest. "She is. She always will be. That will never change. But that doesn't mean I can't have another. Isn't that what you've wanted all these years? You and me, together. Alina here understands my needs and knows that things must change to stay the same. What I seek in women, is they are exotic, strong as they are beautiful, and can trust to protect my back when surrounded by enemies. Like Alina, you have all those qualities that I seek when it comes to having a lover Hinata," said Malgus, as he saw the woman look up at him with those lavender eyes, unsure of what to do, afraid to step on the other woman's toes, and yet there was a deep yearning within them the Sith Lord saw to be by his side. Yes, she had desired him for years. Yes, she did want him to be his lover. To wake up in the morning in his bed with the man lying beside her with a smile on both their faces from remembering a night of intense love-making. Dare she say yes? Dare she become bold and kiss him? Let him kiss her. In front of his first lover no less. I would be honored," said Hinata, as she kissed him, and he returned it with a passion that the Hyuga woman felt on a level she never thought possible. "Welcome to my life Hyuga Hinata," said Malgus before using the force to make her sleep and pick the woman up. "Why did you do that?" said Alina seeing Malgus put her on the nearby medical bed. "So we can talk. Leave us. We're healthy now," said Malgus seeing the medical droids nod once and then leave them. "What is there to talk about? I understand my place is by your side until the end," said Alina now face to face with Malgus. "Even if it means another woman stands by my other side in the same manner. Can you live with that? Be mindful of your thought Alina. You can't hide them from me," said Malgus seeing her frown, but it soon changed to a smile, and she wrapped both her arms around his waist. "I would never hide my thoughts from you my love. If you require a second female to tend to your body when I am not able I can accept it. It is not uncommon for males of certain species to have more than one female lay in bed for procreation and from what I have researched on this specific planet the people have a specific requirement to do that. Something you fall under if I'm not mistaken when given your bloodline," said Alina while loving the feel of his warm rippling muscles that told her of the years of training and battles he fought in. "I do fall under that category, but I also know how women get when they have their mate, and don't wish to share. Don't you fall under that category? Said Malgus with a chuckle and saw the woman lean her head against his chest. Maybe. But so long as you are happy, then I am happy, and just want to be with you to the end. Promise me you will. That's all I ask. Promise me on your warrior's honor, said Alina, seeing Malgus look into her eyes, and for a moment they were the eyes of a Sith, but those of an intense blue beyond her own skin, and they held that sense of honor she had always known was there. I promise, Alina. On my warrior's honor, said Malgus before he kissed her on the lips with an intense passion. Konoha at the moment, he must be destroyed like we told the Sandaime the day of his birth. Said Homura, as he didn't approve of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki being alive then, and didn't approve of the boy-turned-Sith Lord rising to power. Power the Leaf could not control. Troublesome. Don't you think such an option is kind of hard to do given how strong his soldiers are? It's clear we are dealing with a battle-hardened force here, which is far more advanced, trained, and stronger than anyone in this village could even imagine. The fact one of them could command the bugs of the young Aburame of the retrieval team to stay inactive is something truly frightening. Imagine how powerful Naruto really is. It was even stated in Jiraiya's report that the power used on Kakashi was not Kyuubi's chakra or even a lightning jutsu, but something else entirely, and was incredibly powerful, said Shikaku, as he had been wide awake for a while now, which was a record given his lazy Nara nature, and heard every detail that happened on his son's mission. The elder Nara knew his son's team didn't have a chance from the interior description of the Sith temple alone. All the more reason we need to destroy the beast before he does anything else. He has Hyuga Hinata in his clutches and his mother too. Who knows if she's really a prisoner? Said Koharu, having never liked the woman or anyone from Whirlpool for that matter. She was a prisoner. I was in a cell across from her. No special treatment was given the entire time I was sitting mine. She was dragged out roughly like I was. Hell, Naruto even backhanded Kushina right across the face in front of all of us, and that was before anyone knew he was Naruto, said Jiraiya, seeing the Hokage grimace at that. Still, the demon brat must be slain, or captured for study. The only comfort we have is the Akatsuki and Orochimaru are going to harass the monster for his wonders. We can use that time to do our own raids on his land, said Danzo, knowing a fraction of those technological wonders could make Konoha unbeatable. You really think Naruto is going to just sit on his throne and let those two factions, not to mention us, just make moves to take him down? We're talking about someone who is an Uzumaki by birthright, and are known for their unpredictability. They think outside the box we make for ourselves regarding everything we know. Fighting, jutsus, sealing, and every other aspect of the shinobi way. Now take that very same kid, give him what he has now, and throw him back into our world battle hardened with years of experience under his belt. The boy is no longer a boy. That is a warrior, who has fought, killed, been injured, and most likely came close to death on a few occasions only to come out alive. This is a warrior, who doesn't know fear, and instills it on his enemies without remorse, knowing in his mind that they deserve to feel before killing them. The eyes I saw in that pyramid were the eyes of a cold, vengeful man, who knows what he has power, and how to use that power to its fullest potential, said Jiraiya, seeing the clan heads shiver in fear at this information. You spoke of his seal being damaged, Jiraiya. Thus his body isn't at its peak. Could he fix the seal? Said Tsunade, seeing the drawn description the Sannin had made of what their godson, and it broke her heart to see it. I don't know. He was never taught anything about sealing. Then again, Naruto was never taught anything thanks to the teachers at the academy, and thus his education was pretty much shot in terms of being a shinobi. However, said Jiraiya, looking away with a sense of uneasiness. What, Jiraiya? Said Tsunade, seeing the man let out a heavy sigh. Naruto mentioned he had the ability to go through people's minds like a member of the Yamanaka clan, but with the skill and ease of a master. Like he could do it easily, like it was as simple as breathing. During the entire time we were in that room, he could have easily taken information from my head about the art of sealing, and Kushina too, since her own skills were more effective than Minato's ever were, said Jiraiya, seeing everyone go pale at this information. If that's true, then logic dictates that young Uzumaki has already fixed his damaged seal, and using Kyuubi's power to start the healing process, said Shibi, knowing their enemy just got stronger. So how do we take him down? Said a civilian council member nervously. I say an all-out attack from all sides. We can easily convince the other shinobi villages that he's a threat to everyone, and only a uniting of all 5 villages will bring the demon down, said another civilian councilman, who ran the merchant guild, and knew such a strategy like his would make him exceedingly rich. And while they fight the demon, my root can infiltrate from the shadows, and take what I need underneath their noses before they realize what's going on, thought Danzo, as he would agree to such a plan, but play it off with reluctance to avoid suspicion, and set his plans in motion. No one noticed the tiny metallic spider-like creature watching the entire meeting and the facial features on everyone's face. Wave Country Throne Room of the Sith Temple. Look at them all, Alina. Hinata. Kushina. They're plotting my demise with such desire in the belief that the wonders of my pyramid will be theirs. Especially that one with the bandages over his eye, said Malgus while Alina and Hinata stood on either side of his throne while Kushina stayed confined to having cuffs around her limbs while watching from her position in the throne room at the projection of the meeting of Konoha's top government officials. They are foolish to try my love. Still, they do bring up a good point about those different group, and how they will be harassing you soon. We should remove them first before we begin taking over this planet, said Alina while watching the screen. I agree. What about you, Hinata? Lend me your many years of experience in the shinobi world, said Malgus seeing Hinata watch the governing bodies of Konoha's top people to see beyond their faces. I agree, but we should keep a lookout for any attempt by the Leaf, or any other shinobi from another village seeking to take advantage of our eyes being elsewhere, said Hinata knowing that would be the case with their attention focused on Orochimaru or the ever-looming presence of the Akatsuki organization. We'll deal with Orochimaru first. I don't want that parasite to slither in here to take what doesn't belong to him while I'm dealing with the Akatsuki, said Malgus seeing the two women nod while the third avoided eye contact with him. Why are you so down, Kushina? Your son is doing this world a great service in bringing its people to their knees under his rule, said Alina seeing the red-haired woman glare at her. By killing and enslaving them, said Kushina before Malgus turned his eyes to her and stared into those burning eyes. Please. They do that now. What does it matter if I do it on a grander scale? As long as the world is united under my rule, the people of this world will benefit from this in the long run, and we both know it, said Malgus rising from his throne and walking down the steps to the woman that gave him life. And then left him to fight for it alone. You're wrong, said Kushina seeing her son chuckle. Really? Look at the great technological wonders of my slowly growing Sith Empire you have seen so far. Soon, when I rule this entire world, the wonders in my possession will be shared, and all the people that remain will benefit to such a degree that they will join me without question, said Malgus grinning at his mother, who looked away from him, and clearly didn't want to embrace his view of the world. I don't believe you, said Kushina while hearing her son chuckle once more. No, I suppose you wouldn't believe me. After all, you haven't seen what I have seen in my time beyond this world. The very galaxy itself is infinite with different planets, filled with beings, their customs, traditions, and their cruelties that make anything this one can throw seem weak by comparison. This world is in chaos, it has no order, and no stability due to countless people fighting for power. In order to have stability in this world, there can be only one ruler, and that someone is me. Said Malgus seeing Kushina looking at him with skepticism. You really think the people will follow you? Just like that? Not even you can make that happen, said Kushina seeing her son walk back up the steps to his throne before sitting back down on it. My naive mother. This isn't the first time I've conquered a world, said Malgus simply seeing Kushina's eyes widen in shock. It's true. When Darth Malgus was fighting for the old Sith Empire, he was expanding it constantly, and has left quite a mark on the galaxy, said Alina smirking at Kushina knowing it was true since she helped. Enough about the past, Alina. Let us focus on the future, said Malgus, as he pressed a few buttons on the chair, and the image of Orochimaru working alongside Kabuto came up. The Rancor Division was dispatched earlier this morning for this mission, my lord. 2 of our more heavily armed cruisers specified to handle bombardment is in the air at a safe distance with fighter ready to burn the terrain around the Snake Sanin's base to ash, said Alina seeing Malgus nod while smiling. Good. They should be well versed in handling him from the info we've been gathering since my forces first arrived here all those years ago. Come, it's time for us to train, said Malgus, as he summoned several Sith Knights to take his mother away, and then went to the training center designed specifically for him. He didn't want to become weak and soft after all. Malgus watched with amusement, as the figure bound with specialized restraints was dragged into his throne room by 2 Sith Knights, and a squad of his troopers keeping their weapons trained on the newest guest in the Sith Lord's temple. Brought from the hell that had once been Rice Country, hunted down trying to flee with Sound Anbu, and Orochimaru beside him. The droids had flanked them group, Blasting the sound Anbu to pieces, a sniper several hundred yards away in a tree took down Orochimaru via one shot to the head, and then shot this one individual in the spine when the lone survivor tried to once again flee. Welcome to my home. I trust my men haven't been too rough in their treatment of you, but then again with your healing abilities, they could set your body on fire, and it would just regenerate to the point where no one would know it had been on fire once. Isn't that right, Kabuto? Said Malgus, seeing the spy of Orochimaru glaring hatefully at him. I'll kill you. I don't know who you are, but when I am free of these restraints, and kill your men, you will be next. Said Kabuto before moving his head back slightly when a Sith Knight activated his red-bladed lightsaber and put it dangerously close to his neck. Darth Malgus just laughed behind the hood of his Sith robes. It's not surprising that you don't recognize me. It's been so many years since we last met. I doubt I would recognize myself from back then, said Malgus, rising from his throne and walked down to the restrained form of Kabuto. What are you talking about? I've never met you before today, said Kabuto, frowning in confusion. It seems my men have caused you some kind of memory loss. Let me refresh it for you, said Malgus before removing his hood and saw Kabuto's shocked face of disbelief. You look like him. Like an adult version of the Kyuubi brat. But, you can't be him, said Kabuto, seeing Malgus smirk a cruel smirk. Oh, but I am him. I just took on a different name, title, and gained some interesting toys to play with that make anything this world has look like crap, said Malgus before putting the hood back on. What are you going to do to me? I have nothing to offer and I refuse to be your servant, said Kabuto while Malgus just laughed cruelly at him. You make it sound like I want to hire you. Even if I wanted to remotely consider such an idea, I would sooner stab you with my lightsaber, and feed your remains to a few of my exotic pets I acquired from my time out in the outer rim of the known galaxy. What I do want from you, Kabuto, is to have my medical droids dissect your body, and learn the secrets behind your regeneration recovering abilities so they can be duplicated, said Malgus, seeing Kabuto scowl further. Why, you already have the Kyuubi healing you. Such an ability is slow when compared to your own with that creature in your gut, said Kabuto, seeing Malgus just grin further, and it scared the former sound shinobi. Me? Who said anything about such knowledge being used for my benefit? No. Such an ability would be more useful in the hands of my troops. Hence why you will dissected, studied, and basically become my lab rat until the day you die, said Malgus with a cruel smile matching his hate-filled voice while staring at Kabuto. I will get free and I will have my revenge, said Kabuto before being dragged away by the Sith Lord's forces. Fool, I have every contingency planned out in the event you try to escape, said Malgus, though it was more to himself than the restrained body being dragged away before one of his officers came into the room. My lord, we have just received communication from Spring Country, and they wish to discuss diplomatic relations with Wave Country. The country's daimyo leader wishes to meet with you face to face in one standard week and to come here using one of their own flying ships, said the officer of lieutenant rank. I guess word has already spread of our crushing attack on Rice Country and the death of Orochimaru, with his body being brought before certain powers that handle paying my forces the bounty his head had on him, said Malgus, as he had taken a bingo book off of the dead Konoha Anbu he killed when the Leaf Shinobi were here, and uploaded every missing nin into the system. Yes, my lord. Even now we are receiving reports from various places wishing to sign a non-aggression pact or alliance with us, said Lieutenant before bringing up the different countries that wished to be spared the Sith Lord's wrath. Interesting. Contact the Springs daimyo and please inform its country's ruler I will meet her here for talks about this world's future, said Malgus while looking at the giant globe projection of the world in front of him. Yes, my lord. And what of the others wishing talks? Said the lieutenant, seeing Malgus now showing a scowl and clenching his fists. Ignore them for now. Spring Country is a key country in this world. I wish to keep it that area from being damaged and prevent unnecessary conflict unless required, said Malgus, as the man in front of him was confused, and clearly thought his hearing was off. My lord, said the lieutenant, seeing Malgus smile at him. Their land is filled with resources and I won't have it destroyed simply to satisfy my own bloodlust. Something Darth Revan tried to teach to all who followed him into war those many centuries ago. I studied his teaching thoroughly while at the Sith Academy and identified with him on how to fight my battles. It actually ironic that I would lose one of my battles to his long-line descendant on Alderaan, isn't it? Said Malgus, seeing the man nod his head in reluctant agreement. Anyone with Revan's bloodline are sure to do great things, my lord. Whether they chose to become a Jedi or Sith, said the lieutenant, seeing Malgus nod in agreement. I agree, said Malgus before switching the projection in front of him from the world to the Akatsuki HQ in Aim Village. With your permission, my lord, I wish to return to my other duties, and check with the R&D department on their status with their experiments, said the lieutenant, seeing the Sith Lord nod and wave him off. Go. I expect an update on their progress within the hour, and I better be impressed, said Malgus, seeing his loyal officer salute and quickly hurry out of the room. Just because Malgus wasn't burning things to the ground right away didn't mean everyone within his empire could slack off. Konoha. Sometime later. Rice country was obliterated, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya nod grimly. Yeah, and that's putting lightly. Life will return to the country, but it's going to be a slow process, and most likely long after we leave this world for the next. From what I was able to learn, Naruto sent his forces to Rice country, destroyed it simply to crush Orochimaru, and sound all in one shot. It was well coordinated using tactics and technology we can't even begin to understand in the slightest, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade sigh heavily while showing signs of having a massive headache from all this news. Well, that one problem down. But what concerns me is that it will make headway for an even bigger one, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya nod. It already has. According to my spy, the Akatsuki is getting nervous, and so are the other villages. Some want non-aggression pacts signed while others wish an alliance to prevent any hostile intentions aimed in their direction. So far, I've determined Spring Country is the only one allowed to have such a consideration, and the daimyo there is going to meet with Naruto at his home by the end of the week, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade's face go deathly pale. She sees Naruto as a hero to her people. There is no telling what they will discuss and what she'll agree to while in that structure, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya grimace. Yeah, she's heading his way via airship, but is under strict orders to arrive with only 2 bodyguards, and none of them are allowed to be shinobi. The airship is allowed an armed protection detail with a fleet of other airships, but there is a restriction of how far they are allowed into wave country, and the one Koyuki is on must be unarmed of any weapons, said Jiraiya, knowing Malgus wasn't going to let anyone try anything within the center of his domain. And she agreed to it, said Tsunade, while surprised at Spring's daimyo at agreeing to the terms. She trusts Naruto. He's carved out his own realm without killing a single person to get it and has an advanced army to back it up. Not to mention his own strange powers that have nothing to do with Kyuubi, said Jiraiya, knowing that the boy left quite an impact on the woman. It's the strange powers that concern me. From what you mentioned in your report, the Gaki had the power to choke others from far away distances, and shoot lightning from his hand without a single hand sign, said Tsunade, knowing the rumors were flying all over Konoha now about the Sith Lord. Some said Naruto could enter your body and make you do whatever he wanted. Others claimed he made a pact with Kyuubi to become the ruler of the world and forge it into a new version of hell. Some said he could crush your body with a simple thought if the Sith Lord knew your name and what you look like. Yeah, what I don't get is who or what that blue-skinned woman really is. I mean, I know Hoshigaki Kisame is blue too, but this woman is different, and those 2 tentacles where hair should be is just unnatural, said Jiraiya, though he silently admitted to himself that, tentacles aside, the woman was kind of hot, and was exotic in her own right. Yes, I was wondering that too. From what Naruto stated, he went to other planets, which are what the stars themselves really are, and apparently they're more just like her. I knew that Gaki had strange taste in things, but I never saw that coming, and I'm feeling sorry for Hinata-chan. She really liked Naruto and now he's off the market, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya get a perverted look on his face. Well, considering he's ruling wave country, it's possible, said Jiraiya before Tsunade smashed her fist into his face and sent him sailing out the window. Shut up, you pervert, yelled Tsunade while growling angrily at the man for even thinking that right now. There was no way that was happening with Hinata. She'd bet on it. Sith Pyramid Darth Malgus's bedroom at the moment. Hinata was in bliss, as she was being kissed passionately by Malgus, who had entered the room, and instantly began this make-out session like he was possessed. Not that Hinata even minded, as she was shocked at first, then ecstatic at this happening once more, and this was not some cruel dream her mind played countless nights when she thought he was lost forever. The Sith Lord had already removed most of her clothing until Hinata was only in her undergarments, and it wasn't long before those fell to the floor, with the 2 of them falling on the bed to continue this further. Hinata soon wished her lover to be without his clothing too, as she used her own skilled hands to remove what Malgus has on, and looked at the man with lust in her eyes. Indeed, the man had a body fit for a warrior, whether he was a shinobi of a village, or a Sith Lord ruling his expanding Sith empire that would one day cover the entire world. She returned his passion with her own, calling out his Sith name, as she had accepted that his old name was no longer suited for him anymore while calling him Veradun, and even Malgus when they were like this. His hands groped her impressive bust, as he kissed the Hyuga woman's neck, knowing the spot there would make the woman get even hotter under the sheets they already were, and the Sith Lord loved how Hinata called out his name. Like Alina, he knew what part of her female body to touch, to caress with his hands, and where the sweet spots were that got both women to become putty under his passionate touches. He thrust his erection into Hinata's womanhood, feeling it enter her with ease from the wetness there already to help him along, and the woman below him holding onto him like he was her lifeline. He kept thrusting into Hinata again and again without stopping his rhythm while the woman called out his name with each thrust. "Who am I to you, Hinata? Tell me who I am to you," said Malgus into her ear and felt her legs wrap around his waist. "My lover, my master, and my everything," said Hinata, as she felt the pleasure within her rising, and was going to explode soon. "Correct," said Malgus, as he sped up his thrusting, and finally came with Hinata doing the same with her cries echoing throughout the room. It was music to the Sith Lord's ears. "I love you," said Hinata into the Sith Lord's ear. "I know, I do too," said Malgus, as he felt the woman's joy increase further at his words, and held onto him like she was afraid this was a dream. "I don't want this to be a dream. Tell me this is real. Please," said Hinata begged, as she feared even now that this was a dream, and would wake up without him. "Alone. This isn't a dream. It's real. I'm real, here with you in this bed, and I can prove it too," said Malgus, as he kissed her neck again, and gave a small thrust forward with Hinata letting out a gasp of pleasure. "Prove it to me, my love. Please," begged Hinata into his ear and could almost see the ear-splitting grin on the Sith Lord's face. "With pleasure," said Malgus before he was once again resuming their love-making. "With Alina sometime later. Did you have fun?" said Alina with a hint of jealousy in her voice to Malgus when he went to see her after cleaning up from making love to the Hyuga woman. "Very much so. Just like I do with you when the two of us are lying together in our bed making love, remember?" said Malgus, as he wrapped his arms around her slim waist, and sensed her relax in his arms. "I remember. Though I fear one day you won't and leave me for that woman," said Alina before she gasped in pleasure at feeling a gentle hand caress one of her tails. "Never. I desire both of you. Neither one will win over the other when it comes to favor with me. Both of you are exotic, beautiful, smart, loyal, and strong. I would be a fool to do such a thing, and we both know I am anything but a fool," said Malgus into her ear, and she shivered slightly once more under his touch. "Make love to me, please," said Alina, wanting him to prove it right now once and for all. "As you wish," said Malgus, as he locked all the doors to the room using the Force, and began to disrobe the woman of her clothing while she did the same to him. He loved how the women in his life brought out his passion. Akatsuki HQ days later. So the rumors are true. This new threat Darth Malgus is in fact the Kyuubi Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto, said Pain, seeing Itachi bow slightly to indicate his answer was a yes. "Yes. Though from what I understand, the Kyuubi vessel is much stronger than we could hope to imagine, and his forces are more advanced than anything we've ever seen," said Itachi, as he didn't like this new outcome, and it was making him nervous even if he did not show on his face. "Yes. That was made perfectly clear when Rice Country was wiped out and Orochimaru along with it from what we've heard on the matter," said Conan, seeing the other members of the Akatsuki becoming nervous. "How do we handle this then?" said Sasori, knowing they just couldn't walk into Wave and take the Sith Lord like they did with Sabaku no Gara. "We must prepare for the inevitable. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki was Orochimaru's enemy, and the man was killed soon upon Darth Malgus's return. We are also his enemy and will no doubt have to face him soon or be destroyed," said Itachi while the others looked at him, and Pain narrowed his eyes slightly at Itachi. "How do you know he will strike us soon?" said Pain while sensing Itachi twitching a bit, which was unlike him, and made the other members go on edge when he didn't answer right away. "Itachi," said Kisame, seeing the Uchiha sigh. "I'm sorry. I have no choice," said Itachi from his position before the area around them deep underground within the village shook violently from the bombardment above. "What the hell is that?" said Deidara with concern before looking at Itachi, seeing the Uchiha shake slightly. "It's the Sith Empire. They've come to kill us," said Itachi simply. "And you brought them here. Traitor," said Hidan angrily at Itachi. "As I said, I had no choice," said Itachi before the ceiling above broke open and a large metallic orb fell to the ground in the middle of the group. That can't be good, thought Kisame before the projection appeared from the top of the orb to reveal the face of Darth Malgus. Or as they knew him as Uzumaki Naruto. Hello everyone. I take it you're all surprised to see me. Or rather you're surprised to see me via projection from this droid. Now many you are wondering why Itachi betrayed you, and I'm sure he's told you already he had no choice. That much is true. You see, I had the Uchiha clan murderer here abducted in secret before this little meeting, and had a special tracking device attached to the back of his neck with a small explosive device implanted into his section connecting the head to the rest of the body. No matter what he does, the Uchiha is going to die, and when I told him his little brother's current medical condition was unfixable, well, he just folded to my whims, said Malgus with an amused look on his projected face. If you really think we will go down easily like Orochimaru did, then you're mistaken, and we'll take 100 of your soldiers down for every single one of us that falls. Said Pain, seeing Malgus turn his head to him. Oh really? How can you do that, when the bomb is droid is about to explode in the next 5 seconds? Said Malgus with the droid revealing the countdown to them. Run, said Kakuzu, but even as he spoke that single word, the countdown had reached 3, and went to 2 before reaching 1. You can't, said Malgus just before the timer reached 0 and the massive explosion from the droid that followed consumed them all. Sith Pyramid Throne Room with Malgus. And now there is one. Right, Uchiha Madara, said Malgus looking to his right and saw the Uchiha appear from the shadows with a scowl on his face no longer covered by the orange swirling mask with the one eye. You sensed me. Impressive, said Madara seeing Malgus rise from his throne before walking down it. Difficult not to. Your foul Uchiha stench is not something one can ignore, said Malgus with a smirk on his face, and Madara scowled further. So my pet has been talking about me. I'll have to punish him after he's extracted from your body, said Madara seeing Malgus ignite his lightsaber. You're assuming you'll succeed in extracting him. Such a crude plan. I sense you have in wanting to rule this world. Is that how you feel? Knowing that the only way to make the world yours is to put it under an infinite genjutsu? How pathetic, said Malgus seeing Madara snarl in fury. You know nothing, said Madara drawing his sword. Don't I? Your thoughts betray you. So do your feelings on the matter. You wish to pull some grand illusion where everyone is ruled by you, as if you were a god, and we both know such a way to rule is shallow at best. Hollow at the very worst, said Malgus seeing the Uchiha activate his Sharingan eyes while charging his sword with chakra. What does it matter so long as I rule over everyone in the world? An Uchiha like myself should be worshipped like a god. Why be Hokage of Konoha when you can be a god of the entire world? Said Madara seeing Malgus grin and surprisingly nod his head. I agree. Why be Hokage of a single village? Such a village is small compared to the rest of the world, and even then you'd spend most of the day doing paperwork. Though you're aiming to be a god. That's absurd. You have no idea what's beyond this planet. Of just how much of a small fry you are compared to the rest of the galaxy and the universe as a whole. But you will learn soon enough before your end here today. I promise you that, said Malgus seeing Madara chuckle. You foolish Uzumakis and your promises. When will you learn? Don't make promises you can't keep, said Madara, as he charged forward, but was stopped when the floor glowed suddenly with a seal design beneath them, and found himself getting weaker by the second. You think I'd give you the honor of fighting me in a one-on-one battle to the death? You are unworthy of such an honor. One of my many powers I command, is the ability to see the future, and turn things around in my favor should the vision not be to my liking. In my most recent vision before my troops went to aim to wipe out your organization, I saw you come here, and fight me to a point where you were going to lose. However, you chose to flee from battle at the end, and killed one of my 2 lovers in cold blood just to spite me. So I had to prepare this room for the inevitable arrival of your uninvited form, and with a little help from another seal master I was able to create this little number, said Malgus seeing Madara looking around to see just how complex the seal really was. This seal. It's too advanced for Jiraiya of the Sannin to make. Only an Uzumaki seal master could make this, and with years of experience in the sealing arts. Something you don't have. So who helped you? Said Madara before hearing footsteps behind him and turned to see to his surprise the one Uzumaki that he never suspected was alive. That would be me, said Kushina with an expressionless mask on her face. Impossible, said Madara in surprise. No, not impossible. It took some soul searching, but my mother realized the error of her ways, and as much as she secretly hates what I have become as her son. She hates you a whole lot more for setting it all in motion years ago. Besides, she finds my way of ruling this world as much better than yours, and has chosen the lesser of two evils to take it over. Isn't that right, mother? Said Malgus, seeing the woman nod, but still kept her face from showing emotions, and saw Madara was aging in the shrinking seal that surrounded the second to last Uchiha alive. What does this seal do? Said Madara, finding himself becoming old and gray. When I told my mother of my vision of the future, she was gracious enough to tell me everything I need to know about those pathetic thieving Sharingan eyes of yours. That they are your strength and at the same time they are your weakness. They grant you the so-called immortality the others claim to possess with their powers, and I knew that without them, you would die, said Malgus, seeing Madara was shriveling up. You won't win against me. I outlasted the Shadaime when everyone thought he won in our fight for the right to be Hokage. I weakened the shinobi villages. I unleashed the Kyuubi on Konoha to kill the Yondaime Hokage, who was your father, and I will kill you too. Said Madara before falling forward while gasping for air. Unlikely. Soon you will fade away into death's cold embrace. As all of us do when we become one with the Force, said Malgus, seeing Madara crying out in agony before he crumpled fully on the ground dead and his body turning into a dry husk in the process. I trust my actions in helping you with the seal proves my loyalty to you, my son, said Kushina, seeing Malgus looking at her, and deactivated his lightsaber. Indeed it has. I still sense conflict in you though. I sense, you wish me to stop being the Dark Lord of the Sith that I currently am. You want me to show mercy. And to Konoha no less. Said Malgus, snarling at the end while his mother flinched and took a step back. They deserve to be given a chance at redemption, said Kushina, seeing Malgus sneer further at her words. Never. You want me to be humble. Merciful. Even Jedi like to them. After all the crap I went through in my childhood, you really expect me to just shrug it off, and not feel the hatred that burns in my blood? How many beatings did you endure at their hands? How many times as a child did you have to find some cold dark place to stay when it rained while everyone else went inside to their nice warm homes? How many times did you have to eat out of the trash of others because no one would serve you food? If you can't answer me, then I'll do it for you, and say the answer is 0. Said Malgus while seeing his mother look away from him. Your father would have shown mercy, said Kushina at last before being force pushed hard into a wall and held there by Malgus. And if they abused you like they did me, my father would have burned that village to the ground, and everyone in it. Do not presume to tell me things about my father and try to see from such a naive point of view like yours, said Malgus before he stopped using the force and let his mother fall to the ground. Not everyone in the village are monsters. Even you can sense that much, said Kushina while her Sith Lord for a son let out a cruel chuckle. Oh, I know that, mother. Which is why I'm going to offer those people worthy of being spared my wrath one chance to join me. If they refuse, they die. Said Malgus, seeing Kushina flinch away from his gaze. You're cruel, said Kushina sadly while Malgus just scoffed at her. If anything, I'm being merciful, mother. If I wanted to be cruel, I would order my troops to crush the leaf, and show no mercy altogether, said Malgus before ordering 2 of his guards to escort his mother out of the throne room. She'll come around, Kit. Give her time, said Kyuubi, sensing his host's emotions about his mother asking him to be nicer. I hope so, Kyuubi. For both our sakes, thought Malgus while Kyuubi raised an eyebrow at him. Does this mean you'll actually kill your own mother if she doesn't stay loyal to you? Said Kyuubi before sensing several negative emotions swarming around the Sith Lord. You know what I had planned to do with Alina on Coruscant had Haku's presence not interfered, thought Malgus, seeing the Kyuubi nod at seeing the memory. Indeed I do, Kit. Still, you are better than that, and I say hold off on that option unless it's absolutely necessary, said Kyuubi, seeing Malgus nod. Perhaps you're right, Kyuubi. Even a Sith Lord can't kill his own mother, right? Thought Malgus, seeing the fox was silent for a moment. I don't know, Kit. Maybe. If the Sith Lord is cruel enough. Still, you have your warrior honor, and it doesn't suit you to kill family. That's what an Uchiha would do, and you are not an Uchiha, said Kyuubi, seeing the Sith Lord sigh while rubbing his head in thought. I'll deal with my mother later at the appropriate time, Kyuubi. Right now, I need to figure out my next plan, and who I should strike out against now that the Akatsuki organization is gone, thought Malgus, seeing the Kyuubi close its eyes in thought for a moment before they opened. I think for the moment, You should halt your conquest until after meeting with the Spring Daimyo, and make contact with Sabaku no Gara. As a former Jinchuriki and the only one still alive after losing Shukaku, he will prove to be a valuable ally, said Kyuubi, seeing the Sith Lord consider that option. She is arriving in the next couple of days, thought Malgus, seeing the fox nod. She will want to know where you've been. What happened to you all those years ago when you went missing? Tell the tale of the poor abused boy from the leaf, who was my vessel, and how you became greater than anything Konoha would let him be if he had stayed. Make yourself out to be the victim and tell how you rose above it in such a way she will agree to anything you ask of her, said Kyuubi, seeing Malgus grin. Thanks for the idea, Kyuubi. I'll remember that, thought Malgus before fading from his mindscape, while the Kyuubi just smirked. You wish to rule over this planet and forge your own Sith Empire beyond this one kit. Together we will create something grand that will last well beyond anything the galaxy has ever seen, said Kyuubi while looking forward to the following days.